allies, and anybody that wants to learn more about the LGBT plus community. My name is Zanardi, and I'm so glad all your beautiful faces are here. Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 10 of the Alphabet Mafia podcast. I do want to warn off the bat that the audio of this podcast kind of got messed up when we were recording. The original audio was very staticky, so we had to take audio recorded from the video camera, and so it's not the best quality as the other podcast, but it definitely does work. And just take this as a reminder of how grassroots this whole movement is. This is not some polished thing in a studio. This is real people, raw, telling their stories. And so I just want this to be a reminder not to take it as a bad thing. My guest today is Amir. Amir is a gay Muslim. He is a comedian. He is a producer. He has worked on a few TV shows and is pitching some TV shows to executives here in Hollywood. And he is very opinionated. And he has a lot of good insight. And so a lot of our conversation was, about being Muslim and being religious and having to deal with being gay, but also the culture and the toxicity that dwells within the gay community that exists and needs to be talked about. So we had a great conversation. Again, I apologize for the audio, but I definitely think it will work. Amir, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Good.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come on and talk.
Oh my God, it's a pleasure. I love it. It's so exciting. It's always good for people that create space for us,
Yes, absolutely. Get our voices out there.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit just about your personal life. Where you grew up. What your life looks like now, what you're doing, things like that.
Absolutely. So my name is Amir Yassai. Yas is in my last name. So I think that being gay, it's always been a thing. It's like I had no other. I walked out of the womb, I sashayed out of the womb, and I just had to go with it. I'm a child of immigrants, so both my parents immigrated from Iran. My dad came in 1974. Mr. Jafar, he has the perfect little accent. He's such a hard worker, and I think seeing the way my parents they moved to a different country so I could be myself, and I think that a lot of immigrants say, I moved here so you could work and be successful, but I always saw it as an opportunity for me to be who I am.
Yeah.
Because if I had lived in the Middle East, I don't know that I could be out and proud and, live my best life.
Right.
And I think that, in so many ways, my parents made that sacrifice for me. And I think moving to Orange County, it was hard for them. They had thick accents, they were conservative, they were Muslim, and you're in a very white community, and sometimes you're ostracized. But my parents always said, you belong and you deserve to take up space. And I think a lot of parents need to tell their kids that. I think that's so important. Whether your kid's gay, straight, bi, trans, I don't really care how they identify. You need to make sure that you're allowed to take up space. And I think that always bled into everything I did. And moving to LA in 2004, I was like, this town is amazing. I literally saw someone walking down the street in a wedding dress. The first week I lived here. I was like, and nobody cared. I was like, in Orange County, you were such a microscope. Everything. You were skinny, people analyze it. You were gaining weight, people analyze it. You had a different color hair, people analyze it.
Yeah.
Moved to LA, it was like nobody really cared what you did. And for the first time, I was like, I can just do whatever I want. I don't have to hide the fact that I'm feminine. I don't have to hide the fact that I'm Muslim. Nobody really gives a shit.
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. By the way, this is R-rated.
Okay. Great. I was like, nobody really gives a shit. I can literally do whatever I want. And that was the first time where I was like, as queer people, I always say we get to design our lives. And for the first time, I was like, I'm a human unicorn. I can be as queer as I need to be. And I can put on a wig if I feel like it. And I can wear a dad outfit the next moment.
Yeah.
You can do all the different things. And I think that's what I tell anyone that's coming out. If you're struggling, being gay, being queer, you get to design your own life. What could be better than that? We have no biological clocks. We have no pressure. We have discretionary income. You have an opportunity to literally morph into who you want to be. And I think that's remember that? Did you ever read that book, Animorphs or whatever?
Yes.
When you were a kid?
There has 1,000 of them. Yeah.
Yes. And that's gay people. That is the queerest story ever. We get to turn into any animal we want. We get to be our spirit animal.
Yeah.
And you can lean into it. And I think that's the biggest thing is stop coming out, come in.
Oh my God.
That's kind of, because a lot of times when you say come out, it's so, what's the word? It's so alienating. It's so, you're on the outside all of a sudden. No, you can come in. You're going to get, however rough gay people can be, and off camera we were talking about how gay people can be really hard on each other.
Right.
They can also be very loving. You just have to find your queer tribe. And you need 1 or 2 people. You don't need 50 people. You don't need to have a picture on a gay cruise with 50 perfect muscled guys in Speedos. You need 2 good friends.
Yeah.
And that's for me, like, long story short, find your tribe and come in instead of coming out. That's really like my 2 cents.
Coming in, I love that.
Thank you.
We're coming in.
We're coming in, honey. We're coming right in.
Speaking of coming in,
yes.
How did your coming in story begin? You know, when growing up, when did you start realizing things were a little bit different? And ultimately, you know, how did that go? What was the process through that?
That's a great question. So I can tell you the exact moment. So it was a winter night. Just joking. I was 15. It was my uncle's wedding, and I remember it was at our house. And I was watching a movie with Cameron Diaz. I can't remember the name, but it was Cameron Diaz and Matt Dillon. And they have like there was like a sex scene, and I was like, and Matt Dillon takes his shirt off, and they're hot and heavy. And in my head, I was like, I should find Cameron Diaz attractive. But I was like, only had eyes for Matt Dillon. And I was like, something is going on, and I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the first crack in my like heteronormative egg, and I was like, okay, I need to like explore this. And I was so religious. I was fasting. I was praying. I'd been to Mecca. I lived in the Middle East for 2 years when I was a kid. Yeah. So there was so much pressure. My mom wore a headscarf. Like, it was like there was no room for being gay. We actually moved from Laguna Beach because our neighbor was gay. Yeah, so it was a lot, like, and I remember there were times, like, I'd be watching Ellen and my dad, like, why are you watching that lesbian? And my parents are, let me just say, disclaimer, my parents are the nicest people. Like, if you met them, they would make your heart melt. It's just a lack of education. I don't think that, and I want to make this very clear, because a lot of times people are like, that person's a monster. They're not a monster, they just don't have the education. Sometimes you have to wait and teach people, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, oh, absolutely.
So there was that moment where I was like, I can't be gay. So I went into a closet so deep, it was like being at Bed Bath & Beyond all the way in the back. I was like, I had to walk through like 400 closets before I could actually come out. Because I remember in college, like this guy invited me over to his house, first of all, to watch Legally Blonde at midnight. If that wasn't a booty call, I don't know what was. But I was so deep in the closet that I literally was like, oh, it's friends hanging out. And I went there, and he was like nibbling my ear, and he was like coming on to me. And I allowed all these things to happen, and then I was like, I gotta go. Like, I'm not gay. Yeah. And it's just.
So that was freshman year of college?
That was freshman year of college.
Not having any experience.
I'd never been with anyone. I'd never even kissed a girl. And I know a lot of queer people will have had a sexual experience. I was so religious that like, I went with my best friend. I asked her with singing Aladdin. I mean, God, could you be any gayer? I sang, I'll show you the world, like, in front of the whole school, and I was like, I'm not gay. It's like, what? And I was also in Pippin. I'm like, I was the lead in Pippin, in a musical, and I'm singing, it's like, what? Like, and but I always tell people, I'm like, honestly, like, hindsight is 2020. You can be so in denial, like my parents. Literally, it's like, your eyes are closed. You need someone to remove the veil. And my parents, I came out to them 2 years ago. Because they didn't want to see it. I came out to my mom like 4 times. It was like, I'm gay. She's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. And then it's like, if you're not sure, then you start to question it. But the good thing was that I was already out for 6 years before that. Okay. So I was like, sucked enough dick. Like, I know that like what I like is what I like. And I think that, but I also want to like, this is a fun little side note. I have found women attractive. Like the last year, I was like turned on by a couple and like straight couple. And I was just, so allow your sexuality to flow. Like, I've never been with a woman, but I also don't say never. Like, I think it's important to make that side disclaimer. Sexuality, even if you feel you're 100% gay, according to the Kinsey scale, you might have you might be skewing in different ways. So that's just a fun
Rihanna exists, people.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I love that you said that. But yeah, so my coming out was not very easy. My mom's first response was, you're gonna get HIV and die. She said AIDS. So she's not as woke. So she said AIDS. And again, that's fear from her being in LA in the 80s. People are dropping like flies. Like, I understand that there is such a stigma around, and I think that with any other sexuality other than being gay, it's always like, are you fucking? It's all about sex. And I felt like for me, when I came out, I'd never had sex. It was an identity. It was not about sex. And I think, I used to think, I'm only gonna come out when I'm married or have a boyfriend. But that coming out is your personal struggle. It has nothing to do with other people. And like, when I came out to my dad, he was like, can you change it? And I was like, no. And he slowly accepted it. So I think that a lot of people, their moms are like their go-to, their best friend. For me, it was my dad. And our relationship was so bad that I thought he would die and I would never connect with him. But something about me coming out, he understood that I needed him to be something that he wasn't a lot of my life. So I think that sometimes a byproduct of coming out is that people that were not close to you, all of a sudden it's like a magnet. They're like, you need me right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're struggling. Like, I've struggled with mental health issues. Like, I've struggled with suicidal thoughts. I've struggled with a lot of depression that I think my dad on some level was like, if I don't do the right thing, he might sink.
Yeah.
Because my sister and my mom, that was really, I mean, for lack of a better word, honey, it was a coffin. It was a cute coffin, but it was still a coffin. And you know, my sister and my mom kind of turned their back on me, and I think my dad realized, like, I need to step up. And I think sometimes parents kind of wow you in a way that I never thought would happen. Yeah. And I'm 33, like, so I thought, this is it. This is our relationship. But I think in the last year, it's like morphed in such a beautiful way.
Okay. So you said that you were out to yourself and your friends for 6 years before your parents. So what age was it? That was like 27?
Yeah, I was about 27. So when I went to business school was like the first time I was at orientation at business school. Hi, Chapman. And I was like, and the guy that was running the door was some guy that I talked to on Grindr, and I was like, oh, I was like, how am I going to pretend? And like, he was Persian too, so I think he kind of understood. So he didn't say anything, and then messaged me later and was like, "Boo, that was you, right?" Yeah. And it was like, it was really funny because in that moment I was like, I'm not gonna keep pretending. So this girl later that week, it was orientation. She asked me like, "Oh, that guy's kind of cute," and I was like, "Yeah, he is," because these people don't know me.
Right.
This is all new to them. So I can just be gay, Amir. I don't have to be, oh, Amir that was in the closet. Like, because my friends from high school, they still are kind of struggling. Like, why are you wearing a dress? Or why are you like wearing a wig? Like, they still struggle. Why I feel like people that know me from now are just like, this is who you are. Right. You wear a bodysuit and heels, and then in the next moment you're super masculine presenting. Like, they're fine with all my dimensions. So yeah, like business school was the first moment where I was like, done. Like, I'm not gonna be in this closet. And then it was slowly like, my sister found out, then my cousin found out. Actually, the way my sister found out was kind of funny. I sent her a text for a drag show in New York. By mistake, I was trying to send it to my other friend.
Oh my gosh.
She was drinking a little bit. So, and she was like, why are you going to a drag show? And then my sister was like, are you experimenting with men? Like, why are you going to this? Yeah. Because the invite said like, suck a dick Wednesday or something. Whoops. Whoops. And that's why I say God is gay, because you really set me up there. So she saw it, and then we had a really nice conversation, and I want to kind of from there kind of pivot just because I want to focus on her. But what happened was, like, 5 years later, I started my Instagram, and then I was very public about my sexuality, and I started having these panels where we talked about different issues in the gay community, but a lot of it was very open, and I started doing stand-up and talking about sucking dick. But you know, I'm in my 30s, it's my life, but she didn't like that I was public. So she was supportive, then she took the support away, which was sometimes, honestly, really harder than someone not supporting me from the get-go. Yeah. Because she revoked her support, and now we're good. But, you know, she said something like to the tune of like, you're gonna get HIV, and your friends are not gonna take care of you, we are. Really painful stuff. Yeah. And she also mentioned that, like, why wasn't I like Ellen or Anderson Cooper, which is like to say, like, why can't you be quiet like they are? But I'm not a 50-year-old white man. No. I am a 33-year-old crazy Persian. Yeah. Like, it's a very different energy. And the reason I'm so vocal is that I want to make space for queer Muslim, for queer Persians. Like, there's an organization in LA called Raha, and they do like support groups, and they have a Persian gay community. What's it called? Raha, yeah. So it's like beautiful. Like, I was like, these people are creating space. Like, because a lot of times people think Persian, Asian, Latino, Black. Like, these cultures they're very toxic masculine, and they don't encourage it. But at the same time, you can find that community where you look for it, you know? And everything is evolution. Every day that I came out, from the day I came out to my friends or family, it got easier. I know it's cliche, it gets better. Like, I know the It Gets Better project. I know all the people that organize it. It's like, it does, though. Like, however cheesy it may be, like, as you become more comfortable, there's no space for anyone to call me a faggot. Right. There's no space for anyone to call me a terrorist. Like, they don't have the space to do it. Yeah. But for a very long time in my life, they had the space to do it.
Right. You have the leverage because you own your identity.
Yes.
And that's the important
part. And I don't give people the space. Right. I don't give you permission. Like, I don't ask for permission to be myself, but I also, on the flip side, do not give you permission to criticize it. If I want to wear a handbag and you want to drive by in your car and ask me if it's a men's bag and laugh with your girlfriend, which has actually happened to me, I was like, yeah, bitch, you can't afford it. You keep on walking. You dictate. You think that Laverne Cox woke up and was Laverne Cox from day one? No, that's a created persona. That's a created confidence. You have to work at it. People are like, oh my God, you're so confident, you're so happy. I'm like, no, it's I work at it.
Yeah.
Confidence and happiness are not a destination. Like, you don't wake up and go, oh wow, I'm like so confident. Yeah, that's not how it works. Like, people can tell when you're pretending, you know?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And that's when you're vulnerable.
Oh,
when
yeah.
You're pretending.
Oh, yes. People can come and get you, honey. When you're wearing multiple masks, people will tell you which one to put on. And I struggled with that so long, because I was like, I want to be funny. If I'm funny, this like really hot group of gay guys will allow me to be their friends. That happened. For a whole summer, I basically did a comedy tour with a really group of like very boring, drug-addled, gay, white, cisgendered, straight acting men. And I thought I had arrived. I was like, oh my God, these people have all these followers. Like, we don't have to wait in club lines. We get to have tables. But what was I gaining from it? Right. I was basically the class clown. And that's great. Like, I realized early on, if I made people laugh, they couldn't bully me. But you should be appreciated for who you are, not for what you provide. And I think a lot of gay men are like, what can you give me?
Yeah.
Oh, you're hot, you got a big dick. Okay, you can stay. Or you're funny, you can stay. Oh, you like know so-and-so, you can stay. I have so many people look and see who follows me and then message me and go, let's get together. And I'm like, I know what you did. I know that you saw that Carson Kressley was following me. And it's not even about who it is. It's just like, why do you feel the need? What do you think that I can give you all of a sudden? You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to say Carson Kressley's a name drop, but what I'm saying is that people in this town hold certain stuff like celebrities so high up. Yeah. And I'm like, that's just a person with their own issues.
Right.
They just happen to be on RuPaul's Drag Race or Queer or whatever. Like, doesn't mean that when you have $1 million in the bank, you're happy.
No, not at all.
I want to make that very clear, because especially when you're like on the social fringes, like gay people are, queer people are, people of color are, women are, no matter what people give you, you're still gonna feel less than if you don't fix something within you.
Yeah.
When I realized that I wasn't broken, I was just wanted to suck dick. I was like, nothing's wrong with me. Like, you are like, why is it that straight people can do whatever they want and it's fine? Why do gay people even have to come out? Why are we forced to? Why, like, a lot of times I've had people ask me such inappropriate questions, and I'm like, you would never ask that from a straight girlfriend. Right. You would never ask her, like, who fucks who? And they're so crass.
Who's the man in the relationship?
Who's the man? Oh, yeah, I hate that shit. Who's gonna be the wife? Nobody, bitch.
Right.
It's two husbands. And gender roles, like, I love to take care of a home. I love to wash dishes. I love to take care of my man. That doesn't mean I'm any less than, because, honey, I'm a top. And not that that means anything, but I'm just saying, like, I'm a feminine top, and a lot of people also struggle with that. Yeah. There's so many politics in sex and the way you identify and how you present, and I'm like, let people live. Yeah. Like, and this, I'm not talking about outside people, I'm talking about gay people that dictate to me, oh, so you're such a bottom because you're wearing lipstick. Really? Because I fucked a lot of masculine, very, very masculine bottom. Wanting to have sex and the way you have sex is nothing to dictate about the way you present. Right. So I think that, like, so many people struggle with, like, putting themselves in a box. And even, this is a funny story, a couple of weeks ago, I was having coffee with a friend, and he was like, no, you're non-binary.
To you?
Yeah.
He told you?
Told me, I was like, you're telling me that I'm something that has no definition. Right. That's interesting. I'm telling you that I like the he, them pronoun. Like, I'm fine with he, him. And you can call me them too, but I don't require it. It's like, no, but you're non-binary. You're so feminine, you're so masculine. And I'm like, I get that, but like, you cannot, we actually got like, not an argument, but I was like, you don't tell someone they're non-binary. Yeah. Like, that's bizarre.
Right.
But that's how gay people
me right now. Like,
it's weird, right?
Yeah. I don't know how I'd react. Like, no, like,
I was like, excuse me. Like, and if I want to be non-binary, I get to be non-binary when I choose to be non-binary. And I think that like, we love to take away pronouns, and we love to dictate pronouns, and we love to tell people how they are. Like, I've had people be like, oh, I saw you, are you a drag queen now? Because I saw you wearing a wig once. Why? Why am I a drag queen? Or someone was like, oh, are you going to be trans now? Like, but it's all very transphobic and homophobic. And I always tell people, and misogynistic. I say gay people can be inherently homophobic. They can be misogynistic. They can, using your sexual preferences and saying no blacks, no Asian, no femmes, no trans. You can say all those things, but we people don't need to see it. Right. You never fuck a trans person. That's fine. Yeah. I don't really give a shit what you do in your bedroom, but don't put it on your profile. I'm gonna call you out, and I don't really care. Because I know that this whole culture of like cancel culture is bad, but certain times you need to educate people. I'm not saying call everyone out. You can call people in, but also be like, why are you coming, for example, for Dwayne Wade's like child? Yeah. If they want to be transgender and the family's okay with it, why do you have an opinion? Right. And it's always gay people. Oh, they're disgusting. It's like, why? Why does it matter what the gender of someone is? If you're not sleeping with someone, you don't need to know what's between their legs.
No, not at all.
Done. Like, I was at a club once, and my friend was going home with someone, and he's trans. Mm-hmm. And my other friend was like, should we tell that person that, they're trans? And I'm like, no. Like, it's not our business. That's their discussion. If they vibe together, they should have a conversation that so-and-so is trans. Like, it's not our job as his friend to go and say, oh, they're trans. No. Like, that's not our job. Like, and I was just like, but even that mentality is so heteronormative, cisgender. I'm like, you're a gay man. Like, why are you thinking like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and some of those things I want to change, and I think that you can change if you talk about it. Like, I talk about white gay privilege a lot, and a lot of people are like, that's not a real thing. Guess who it is that says that? Like, just guess
the white gays.
Yeah. I'm like, who do you think says that? Everyone else is like, yeah, it's a thing because they've experienced it. And again, if you've checked your privilege, you're fabulous. I have no problem with white people. I want to make that very clear. I have no problem with white people because people say, oh, you're so racist. And I'm like, I'm not racist. I am anti-privilege. People that have not checked their privilege, whatever color they are, but white gay privilege is never spoken about. And I think that someone even said, they were like, please stop talking about it during the holidays.
Well, excuse it during the holidays.
Like, does privilege stop? Right. Like, when there's Christmas, privilege is like, all right, well, there's no privilege. Like, what? I was like,
hold up, honey. Santa's coming.
Santa's here, and Santa doesn't like white gay privilege. So I think that there is a way to talk about these topics without being such a soapbox, and I think the way I found it is to combine comedy with education. Okay. That's all my panels. They're queer positivity panels. I've done about 10 of them. I've done them at universities where it's an audience that is like, they're not into it, but you make people laugh. You're very honest. I talk about my suicidal issues. I talk about my mental health issues. I'm very open. I always try to make everyone cry on my panel. I think it's important that people cry every day. You should be very open. This idea that you want to be strong all the time is BS. Like, I think you should feel things and you should be engaged with your emotions, and you can have fun. Like, you can talk about anything. You can talk about suicide and make people laugh. Like, you just have to find a way to do it where you honor what people have been through, but you also like bring some humor to it, and that makes people listen. Yeah, it's not rocket science. Like, you make people laugh, you wear a cute outfit, you bring some very punchy personalities, and people all of a sudden are like, oh my god, I'm very transphobic. They realize it. Like, I had a guy that called me fat and disgusting and that I would never be good enough to sleep with, came to one of my panels. Okay. Didn't remember me. Came up to me after and was like, oh my god, I loved it, I really enjoyed it, and left. And I was like, oh sweetie, you don't remember the vitriol you sent my way that really affected me. But a lot of times people do stuff and they forget because we're hurt, and hurt people, however cheesy it is, hurt other people. And we send stuff out and we forget. We're like, oh, this person sucks, whatever, like, I don't have to deal with it. But you would never go up to someone and be like, you're disgusting and fat. Unless you're a sociopath. Most people won't do that. You know what I mean? It's what social media, and I am a big advocate of social media.
Totally.
I believe it can use it
for a lot of good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. For podcasts like this and your panels and things like that.
Absolutely.
But it is one of the darker sides of social media. Is that you don't need, you're not face to face, and so you can say whatever shit you want.
You can be disgusting. You can. I'm like, would you show your dick unsolicited at a bar? Why are you sending it on Instagram? But you know what I mean? Like, people just don't really think. I always try to remember, would I say this to someone's face? Yes. And then I will write it. And there have been times where I'm not perfect. I misstep too. I get really upset about something and I call people out and it's too aggressive and they're like, that's not what I meant. And then we have a really nice conversation and sometimes you end up blocking some people. Yeah. Block some people. I am fine with blocking people. Like, your mental health is more important. I created my Instagram because it's my safe space. So if you're going to come in there and be inappropriate, like, one time I was interviewing live an intersex person and someone went, do they have penis? Do they have a vagina? And I was like, you're blocked. Yeah. This person doesn't get it, so you're out. Yeah. I don't care if you're my friend's boyfriend, you're out. Yeah. This is my space and this is my business. I don't really care. Oh, it's not my space, it's just for anyone that rest in peace, MySpace. Mine is still up, by the way. My MySpace is still there. I'm like, can someone delete this? But yeah, I think that, like, it's really important that people realize that you can have these conversations in a very healthy way. And I think that, like, I get messages from the Middle East, I got a message last week from Afghanistan saying I'm bisexual. It's so nice to see someone, like, being very open. So there is a really good side of Instagram, and without Instagram, I would have no panel, because everyone I'd message, from Eureka from RuPaul's Drag Race to Johnny Sibley from Pose, everyone was a dry, cold DM. So without Instagram, I wouldn't really have my platform. So I, like, very much, like, kind of bow to it, but at the same time, like, I think there is a dark side. But block people, don't let people in, and unfollow people that don't serve you. If someone's posting stuff that doesn't serve you, like, I don't like seeing groups of buff white men hanging out, so I unfollow people that do that all the time.
Yeah.
They don't serve me. They're not
that's
part.
Every single post. Not wrong with it.
No, one to it's fine. If you've been on a cruise, great. But if your every post is like that and one black or one Asian token person, and when that person is tokenized, I just don't want to see it. And again, you can do it and you can say that you love your black friend, you love your Asian friend. That's all fine. But when you say things like my black friend, it immediately, for people of color, puts on an antenna. We're like, what are you talking about? Because again, that black friend or that Asian friend is perfect.
Well, it's the same.
Perfect body, perfect everything, you know?
Yeah, and it's the same with a gay friend. When a group of girls is like, oh, my gay friend, my gay best friend.
The GBF thing is so done. Like, actually, I had auditioned for a movie that was on Netflix called GBF, and I refused to play a caricature. I refuse. And again, a lot of gay men will still do it. They'll still play hairdressers. They'll still be yes, honey, and like CBS will still do that. But I think with shows like Sex Education, shows like I'm Not Okay With This, that are like shows that show nuanced queer characters, Netflix is doing a great job of showing that. Yeah. We don't all hairdressers. I always say I'm not that type of gay. I don't like to shop. Yeah. I don't do makeup. I don't cut hair. Like, nothing wrong with if you do any of those things. I'm just not that type of gay. And a lot of girls are like, let's shop. Like, I remember this girl at USC was, I'm gonna burn all my clothes and we're gonna shop. Oh, bitch, don't burn your clothes.
Talk about privilege.
Oh yeah, bitch, you can burn your clothes. I can't afford that shit. So I think that like that whole GBF thing is, and also I think it's really important. I actually got in a conversation with one of my friends about this. He said that he wishes his son was gay, and I'm like, love the support, but I think that that's another thing too, where people think that being gay is like a caricature, it's a fun thing. And I've heard moms say like, I can't wait till my son's gay so we can go shopping. Yeah. Their life is gonna be harder. There's gonna be issues, they're gonna have, I love that I'm gay, it made me empathetic, it made me who I am. I actually had no purpose until I came out, but at the same time, I don't wish for someone to be gay. Yeah. That's a harder life, that's a very cisgender privileged way of being like, oh, I would love a gay person. Great, but like, unless your son's gay, that's not really a conversation to be had. Yeah. And I've had people say, oh, well, you're not supportive of gay people. What if your son was gay? Fine. But I'm also not going to wish for it. Right. That's a very different thing.
Yeah. Because so did you hear Pete Buttigieg got a bunch of slack because he said that when he was younger, I believe, he wishes he had a pill that would make him not gay. And he got a bunch of flack for that from the gay community.
Interesting.
Because you're like, oh, you're not proud of who you are. You know, your husband was in the audience. You're basically saying you wouldn't be with your husband. Things like that.
You just be with his husband on the deal. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
So what? Yeah, I mean, this is kind of relating to what you're talking about. Sure. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's kind of it was a big current event.
Yeah, I heard about that. So it's like kind of like it's like almost like the gay Matrix. Take the blue pill or the red pill. I'll take Molly. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, with Pete Buttigieg, I mean, he's the most conservative Democrat, not to get too political. Sure. I'm a Warren girl. Okay. But like, so he's so conservative in so many ways, and he's so straight acting, and he's but I understand the industry. He doesn't work in entertainment. He doesn't work in a space like that encourages you to be it's politics. Right. I'm sure he gets so many negative things. So you're gay, that's never gonna work. Yeah. You're gonna have a first husband in the White House, which is again a very high decorating bill, by the way. Just joking. We're gonna get bankrupt from that decorating bill, honey. Oh my god. But yeah, I think that like he had to kind of be that way. So I understand that he said that. And there were times where I prayed the gay away. Right. And and God was like, and that's why I say God is gay. He was like, nope. You gayer now, honey. You're gonna make you more gay. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would take a pill, but there have been moments where I definitely was like, it would be easier to be straight. And I think that's what he meant. Right. And I think that however far he's come, if he was a straight white male, I think he would have gone farther. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like Bloomberg can just jump in and have all that money and kind of, it just shows like we are still in this generation of we need a straight white president to look to. Like it's great to have a woman, but can we have a bisexual black woman? Yeah. Like we're just all we've done is like we've turned the needle this much. So it's like a white woman who it kind of has lesbian tendencies. The needle goes back a little bit. But but again, I think that like in that industry specifically, to be a woman, you can't be too gentle. Right. You have to be pretty harsh. To be a man and to be gay, you can't be really effeminate. Like his husband would have never been even made it to the docket. Right. His husband is like because I follow Chasten and I'm like,
Okay.
gay as fuck.
Yeah.
You know, so there's just, I think that the industry dictates it. So,
Okay.
I mean, would you take a pill?
I mean, I understand where he was coming from, and life was a lot harder. Life would probably have been easier, like for me personally, if I was straight,
Totally.
up until this point. But being gay and like being who I am, like I am proud of that,
Yes.
and I'm glad I'm that. Like it's made me who I am.
Don't get mad, get glad. Remember Taylor?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like I would be the person I am today, and like have this passion for helping LGBTQ plus people, and if I wasn't gay, right?
Right. You just be like an ally.
Yeah.
But like, would you? Like, that's the thing. A lot of people are like, would you be an ally? Like, I don't even know. Like, I think that if I was straight and Muslim and I was like super religious, I probably would have married someone, and I would have just been like, I don't know that unless like someone in my family was gay, that I would really feel propelled to be an ally. I think.
Right.
And like, I spent so much. The reason I went to business school was because I had no purpose.
Yeah.
And I remember as I leaned into who I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's my purpose. Like, there's a really amazing quote from, oh my God, Lily Tomlin. So I love her, from Grace and Frankie. And she's like this fabulous actress. She's been such an activist. And she says she's like, I looked around for somebody, right? And then I realized I was somebody. And that quote like makes me cry every time, because it's like, it's like, yeah, you can be powerful. Like, and again, I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's too much. Like, I can't be a glad person. I can't help the UN. I can't be Malala or whatever it is. But you can do enough in your community.
Right.
You can be nice to people around you. Like, when someone messages you on Grindr and you're not into it, don't block them.
Yeah.
Just don't respond.
Yeah.
Like, if you find someone to be annoying, unless they're disrespectful, like, you don't need to block anyone. Like, find ways to be kind, smile at people. Like, I know Ellen says it, it's like cheesy, but it's like, it's not that hard. Like, people are always like, oh my God, you're so nice. I'm like, I don't want to be nice either. I choose to be nice. Sometimes I don't want to talk to someone about nothing, but I choose to honor that person needs to hear someone react to something they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to interact with people sometimes at Starbucks, but I know that person needs it.
Right.
Because however disconnected I may be, the last 10 people have been worse. Just remember that. Like, the next time you're interacting with people, like, you're at a nightclub and the bouncer's not nice to you or whatever it is, like, someone bumps you, like, you don't need to be, like, I think a lot of gays are always quick to be like, what bitch, cunty bitch, like, and trying to be a character. Being a drag queen is fabulous on stage, but I know personally a lot of drag queens, like Bob the drag queen, Aja, Aquaria, I know a lot of them, off camera, off stage, they're just normal people.
Yeah.
Because they understand that's a persona, but a lot of gay men don't get it. They're cunty their entire life, and everyone thinks that's funny.
It's gotta be exhausting.
That's exhausting, number one. You gotta put on a bullshit all the time. And number two, you're a caricature. And number three, you're not being kind. It's not funny. Don't go up to a woman and grab her tits in her ass and go, ugh, like, I get to get away with that. Find boundaries. Like, be respectful. I think there was so much in this community where it's like, we're a caricature.
Yeah.
Like, try to avoid that. Like, I try so hard to avoid that. And when people, like, say things, I always try to correct them. Like, I was in a studio recently, and this, like, older woman was like, oh, like, two gays are together, it's so fat, the gays are gonna start smelling each other anuses, and I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, no, bitch. I was like, really.
We start smelling each other? What are we, dogs?
I know, we're not dogs, like, we're way cuter than dogs, bitch. And bitch was on purpose there. And so I literally, like, very nicely told her, I was like, I don't think it's, like, I don't get angry because I don't want to be the angry Middle Eastern man, and I don't want to be the bitchy gay guy. I'm very conscious of that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not trying to call you out, but you're also a black woman, like, you know, like, there is an opportunity for you to have been a bit more conscious of what you're saying. But a lot of people don't think, they just try to be funny at someone's expense. And as someone that does comedy, I write my jokes, and they're never at anyone's expense. You can do better. Low-hanging fruit, calling someone faggot on stage, or, oh my God, I saw an Asian person, I have corona. Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can find ways to be funny without doing it at people's expense.
Yeah, love
It's
that.
not wrong.
It's not. And so let's go back to white gay privilege.
Yeah, let's please, my favorite topic.
Okay, great. So tell me about it. Where do we start? What is white gay privilege? So the audience skews a little bit younger.
Okay.
So for anyone listening, kind of, you know, just explain to them what white gay privilege is, examples of it, and what we can do to kind of correct that.
Totally. There are steps to dismantle it, much like systemic racism, systemic homophobia. There's ways to dismantle white gay privilege, but it starts at the top. So to define it, like, white gay privilege essentially has nothing to do with money. So a lot of people message me and they're like, I grew up in a trailer park, or I have no money, and I'm broke, and I don't have any privilege. So privilege is not luxury or financial stability. Privilege means that the color of your skin means that when you walk into a space, you're safe in 95% or more spaces, which white gay men generally are. Being gay, yes, you are unsafe in certain areas. Well, what about Alabama? What about, yes, there are spaces where you're generally not safe. The Middle East, I get it, but that's every gay person.
Right.
So your skin, you're not safe, you're not unsafe because of the color of your skin. Okay. You're unsafe because of your sexual orientation, the way you're presenting. So that's a different thing. So white gay privilege is essentially you not understanding what other people of color go through. So you not understanding that when, for example, people of color want to have a party, there was a party that was happening in LA last year, where it was a POC party, and a lot of white gay people, this is unacceptable. Never on it did it ever say white people can't come.
Right.
The party was specifically POC, people of color. It was we were creating a community within a community, and they were very upset. How many circuit parties are there every week with only white people there?
Yeah.
So I don't, like, there are literally orgies that say white only. If you go on people's profiles on Grindr, it says no blacks, no femmes, no Asians.
Yeah.
I have heard out of my mouth, out of other people's mouths in front of me, you're so cute for an Asian. You're so cute for a Middle Eastern. You're so cute for a black guy. Oh, I like that you're not too black. I like that you're not too Middle Eastern. I've heard all of that. And I've not just seen it, I've heard it.
Yeah.
From people in front of me, face to face.
Yeah.
So if that's not white gay privilege, I don't know what is. Because you think that your sexual preference is not racist. Listen, I can be very honest, I've never slept with a Native American person. But I'm not closed off. I'm not saying no Native Americans.
Like, don't talk to me.
Yeah, and I don't understand when people say no blacks. Oh, you're saying you've seen every black guy? Right. You've seen every Asian person? You've seen every Middle, like, it's a bizarre thing to say. Yeah. So I think that we need to stop there. That's a first step. And again, not only white people do that. There's every color of the rainbow does that within the gay community, no blacks, no Asians, whatever. So that's a different thing. But what I'm saying about how to dismantle white gay privilege is first to understand it. Yeah. Is to check it. And a great example, like a very public example, is Ryan Murphy. So Janet Mock, who wrote and directed Pose, came to him with the idea and said, can you do this? And he said, why would I do it? You're trans and a person of color. Why are you not doing it? Yeah. And that right there is Ryan Murphy checking his privilege. Okay. So yeah, he's still executive producer. He still makes money on it. Right. But he's like, that's not my show. And he could easily do it, take credit for it. You know, he could get all the accolades, but he never showed up to one GLAAD event. He never showed up to one red carpet. He's like, this is your show. Yeah. And he gave MJ Rodriguez, he gave India Moore, he gave Johnny Sibley, he gave people a moment, Billy Porter. He allowed her to find and curate those people. Yeah. Without any involvement from a white person. Yeah. So on and off camera is so important in Hollywood that we not only see people on and off camera that are people of color. That's checking white gay privilege. That's understanding, like, for example, RuPaul was like, oh, I'm black and gay. Why is everyone so upset that my writers are all white? Because you're still in a white gay privilege, honey. Yeah. Because RuPaul is doing great things and is moving the needle, but it's also doing steps backward as well. You need to be very conscious of the way you're pandering, because a lot of times people of color also they start taking in the white gay privilege, because they're like, well, now I have money. Like, I'm living next to Ellen, I'm making millions, I'm guest starring on SNL. I no longer need to take that under my skin, you know? Yeah. And that's why I respect people like Lena Waithe that are like, I'm gonna check people, and because you get to a certain place where you don't have to answer to anyone. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you think Oprah has to answer to anyone? She's like, bye, bitch. Like, so you get to a certain place like that where now Janet Mock can do whatever she wants. Sure. She did Pose, she's untouchable. That's white gay privilege being dismantled. On a smaller level, it's having conversations like this. Okay. It's telling people that it's a real thing. It's not a unicorn. It's not fake. Yeah. You know, a lot of people are like, that's not a real thing. You made it up. You're too sensitive. I will say this, and I will say this time and time again. If it feels racist, it's racist. Yeah. I don't really care if the person never said anything. I don't care if the person says until they're blue in the face that they love black people, or they love Asian people, or they love Persian people. If it feels like racism, it's racism. And I don't really care what anyone says, because that's my opinion. Right. So, and at the end of the day, having these conversations and being kind of not letting people get away with it. Okay. You know, and I was at a dinner and someone was like, oh, Amir's always dating like black people and like he's just kind of like going against the grain. And I was like, I'm sorry, what grain? Yeah, what? I'd like to know what grain. And this is coming from an Indian person. So I'm like, you are also a person of color, and you're calling me out in front of a bunch of white people because you want to be part of that group.
Yeah.
You want to be white acting and be part of that group and be straight acting and do all that stuff. It's like, it's all fine, but you're never going to be white.
Yeah.
They're all going to go to sleep and be like, he ain't white.
Yeah.
You could do everything. You could talk without an accent. Like, I don't have an accent. I shave. I look pretty white. I can mix. I'm blonde. Like, I can do all of that.
Yeah.
But like, at the end of the day, I'm Amir Yassai at an airport when I was sitting outside my car in my neighborhood, literally in my neighborhood on the phone, and the cops wanted to search my car.
Oh my God.
Because I had a thick beard and they saw the license. Yeah, and I was like, you can't search my car. And they were talking slow and they were like, oh, do you know how the laws work in the U.S.? And I was like, I was born here, motherfucker. But again, if I say anything, I am that angry Middle Eastern man, and that's always going to be a thing for me. So when people are like, oh, but your parents are well off, like you don't have any student debt or whatever, that's again financial privilege. Do I know that I look white if I shave and go to the airport, I walk right through? I have a beard, I don't. It's very simple. That's privilege.
Yeah.
That's privilege.
Yeah.
That's a privilege to look white, but I don't, again, with white gay privilege, not to kind of go on a rant, but what it is really I say it in 3 questions. Have you gotten every job you wanted? Have you slept with every person you've pursued? And have you always been able to pay your rent? And for most people, 95% of white gay men, it's a yes. And even if you struggled with the last thing with the rent and you didn't have a lot of money, you figured it out.
Right.
You know, where a lot of people of color, especially gay people of color, they are sex workers. We were talking off camera about the amount of trans people that get murdered. They don't have another option. Nobody wants to hire you when they think you're trans. It's just, people are like scared of it. If you're pre-op, which means you haven't had the surgery, people are like, what bathroom are you going to use?
Yeah.
That still happens. Because Laverne Cox is famous and we have pose doesn't mean that everyone's like, oh. Right. Because gay people 30 years ago, no trans people in the club, no lesbians. You know who took care of us when we were dying in the 80s from AIDS?
Who? The trans people.
Trans people and lesbians.
Women of color.
The women of color that didn't have the disease. That's really who was taking care of us. And shows like Pose really bring that attention to it. And again, attention and education can change the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Miseducation is xenophobia, is homophobia, is transphobia, it's racism. That's all miseducation.
Yeah.
You thinking that I'm Middle Eastern means I am somehow affiliated to 9/11, that's misinformation. When 9/11 happened, I was 15 and people asked me if I knew what happened. Oh my God. You asked a 15-year-old Middle Eastern American if you knew what happened. And this is neither here nor there, but it was Afghanistan, not Iran.
Right.
So and then people ask me if I knew Saddam Hussein, which is a different country. Americans get upset when you say they're from New Jersey if they're from New York.
Right.
But when it comes to the rest of the world, it seems Americans are so quick to be like, oh, whatever your nation, whatever your Middle Eastern. No, it's different.
Yeah.
Like, it's different. It's like literally saying you're from Canada and everyone being like, yeah, whatever, you're from LA.
Or you're from like Colombia, oh, Mexican.
Yeah, like, it's not the same.
Not at all.
It's not, but a lot of gay men are like, I've had this conversation with older gay men specifically, and I know your audience skews younger, but a lot of old gay men will say, well, we went to the HIV crisis, you don't know what we've been through, like, stop telling us to be PC. Like, even at the LGBT center, I had an older gay man, I was doing a panel with only queer Asians, and he's like, are you guys gonna mud wrestle? Like,
wait, what do you mean?
That's kind of like a racist allusion, it's kind of alluding to jungle Asian, which is like Vietnamese, Filipino, meaning they used to mud wrestle like in Vietnam War.
Yeah.
It's just like,
oh my God.
And I'm like, listen, sometimes I'm too smart for my own good because I got that reference right away. And I was like, oh, bitch, you're not going to, because most people would have been like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I was just like, no, bitch. You're not going to get away with this in the LGBT center at my event. I was like, please leave my space. I paid for this 4x4 room.
Yeah.
You get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't believe you're going to kick me out and you're so, like, everyone's so PC and you can't say anything. You can't even say tranny anymore. Well, no, you can't. You can't. Like, you can't say the N-word, can't say tranny, can't call people terrorists, can't call people faggot. I don't really care if you have a problem with it.
Right.
It's that people are always trying to understand, why are you so sensitive? It's not about sensitivity. It's about human decency and respect. And I think that if you have that, we'll have a conversation. If you don't, block.
Really, it is about respect.
It is.
And I don't understand, like, it's so easy to respect people.
It is.
We have a shirt, or the brand has a shirt called, it says respecting pronouns isn't hard. Like, it's just a very simple sweatshirt, just respecting
Can you
pronouns
remember
isn't
people's
hard.
names?
Like, oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You can remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's name. You can't remember a pronoun? Are you sure? Like, it's really not that hard. And I have had panels where I've had 10 people with different pronouns. Learn everyone's name and don't use pronouns. Because it's hard. It's hard to juggle that many people. But again, if it's one person, How hard is it? When I was doing my podcast, my co-host kept messing up someone's pronouns, and this person was so upset. They were like, this is my identity. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
You make people feel immediately unsafe.
Yeah.
What if I was just like, hi, my name is Michael. Okay, Jeffrey, let's talk. Okay, Jeffrey, let's talk. You're gonna be like, what the fuck, man?
Right.
Get my name right.
Right.
But people don't get it. Like, I'm like, this is my name, and they're like, well, it's really hard. I don't really care if it's hard. Pronouns, just say it. Like, and it's funny, my cousin, he's A, and they had a kid in his school that is going as they. It is kind of a non-binary child. Yeah. And I was like, is that hard for you? Like, talking to my 8-year-old cousin, he's like, no, that's what they said. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's like, they get it. The kids get it. Z generation is good. Like, we're Gen Z, we're good. It's the millennials and it's the baby boomers, the people that have to stop trying to understand. If someone comes to you and they're like, I want to be referred to as unicorn from now on, I've legally changed it, better call that bitch a unicorn.
Right.
Or you're not in their life. Like, I have a beautiful friend, Addison, who's on Instagram, fabulous. And it is a trans person going as they, but full beard and long hair and makeup. And people are, shave the beard. No. That's how they want to present.
Right.
And if they want to present differently, they will do it. You know, and people are like, oh, but you're not wearing wigs anymore. What happened? I'm a human being. I got over it.
Right.
That's it.
I don't want to.
I don't want to. And then if I want to, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
I'm very Gemini. I'll do something a lot, and then I'll just like throw all the wigs out. Like, I'm very dramatic like that.
Right.
But so is everyone.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's just giving people space to be themselves is not very hard, but people get scared of people that are outside of the binary, that are outside of the box. They're like, I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah.
Are you gay? Are you not? Like, what's going on?
Why do we need a box?
We don't. The box is boring.
Exactly.
Ugh, anyways.
So you're Muslim, right?
Yes.
Yes. So what I think it's pretty well known that a lot of Islamic majority countries are the worst places for LGBT people.
Absolutely.
It's illegal on a death penalty scale in some countries.
People get beheaded. I mean, it's really bad.
Yeah. So as a gay Muslim,
yes.
What Guzlam?
Yeah.
As a Guzlam,
yes, sir.
What can we do, both I guess in the United States to begin with, and on a national scale, to kind of correct this idea that Islam has, this whole Sharia law thing, because it is an issue, and our LGBT brothers and sisters are really hurting.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, with Sharia law and then also what's happening in Chechnya, there's a lot that LGBTQ people deal with, and I think organizations like Grindr will go and rescue people from jail, and their new CEO is like really active in that department, which I think that as people realize that the Middle East is a vibrant, beautiful country that is not always plagued by war, they're going to start to care. Like, if what was happening in the Middle East was happening in Europe, the UN and everybody would come to the rescue.
Yeah.
But because it's happening in the Middle East, everyone's like, oh, the country's so, like, people don't know what to do with it.
Right.
And I always tell people, I'm like, Middle Eastern people, like, they are, like, we are so loving, and we will also slash your tires in a week. We are very, like, bipolar, and the country and the politics are also very bipolar. The country is based on so much fear, and Sharia law and fatwas are all misogynistic, homophobic. But that country, I get so many DMs from Dubai, Jordan, Amman, all these countries where being gay is still not accepted, but it's like people live there and it's safe. Yeah. There are countries like Iran where trans people are very accepted, because in Iran it's seen as a mental illness. So the government actually pays for you to get operations, and they protect you. They give you security. So it's good, but it's also bad because they believe it's a mental illness. Right. But at least like they're allowed. But then the problem with that is it's a two-edged sword, double-edged sword, because then gay people are transitioning who are not really trans to feel safe, to be safe. So there's a lot of issues in that country. Like, I interviewed someone that was in Iran, and he was telling me about, you know, the way that like the gay community there is set up. Like, they do drive-bys and they get in and out of cars, and people hook up that way. And they're, you know, human beings are so adaptive and vibrant. Like, you know, we're cockroaches in Gucci, for lack of a better word. We will make it work. We will find our way. And gay people have been so like pushed and squeezed and toughened that sometimes we become diamonds from that pressure, and we find our way. And then I think that like there is a lot of beauty in that country, and there's a lot we can do, but unfortunately until that country is politically more stable, there's not a lot we can do. But a lot of Middle Eastern people are moving to Dubai because it's a bit more accepting. Again, you cannot be out in the street like making out with your husband. And for a lot of gay people that travel to Middle Eastern countries, you have to be very safe. Like, Jordan is very open, but even there, even in Beirut, it's like there are gay people everywhere, but like you have to be very safe, and I don't really have a good answer for really dismantling it. What I can do, there's this girl on Instagram, Blair Iman, you can follow her. She wears a rainbow hijab and is like so active and had a TED talk about it. And I think that as people like me and her speak up and say we can do both, it allows a little bit of space for people. And I think there's going to be a Persian drag queen on the new RuPaul Drag Race.
Oh, awesome.
So things are moving in a direction that's healthy, and there is such an underground gay community in Iran. There's a punk scene in Iran. There's a drag scene people don't know about. People don't know about the Middle East because they're scared of the Middle East, and I think that from fear comes a lot of like, you don't get a lot of the needle moving forward. But I think what I did is I stopped being scared, and I was like, what am I scared of? Like, I live in the US, like nobody's gonna behead me, nobody's gonna come for me. Like, I can do whatever I want. And it's funny because one of my cousins actually said, she's like, I worry about your safety sometimes. And I'm like, come at me, bro. Like, I don't really care, because I know that I'm doing it from a very healthy place, and it's from my truth. And I go to the mosque, and I went with my friend's boyfriend. He was like, would these people hug you if they know you were gay? And I was like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Here, I'm a Muslim. I don't need to, and I think that's another thing that I always tell gay people and queer people is know your audience and know where you are. You don't need to present everywhere. You don't need to like go to a mosque and be in drag. You don't need to go with a headscarf to the drag, the drag show. Again, unless you wear hijab. But I'm just saying, like, you understand your audience. Like, I will wear acrylics, but then if I go to the mosque, I will take them off. Like, understanding certain nuances of like, guess who listens to you more when you have the right things on. Right. They hear you better. Right. You know what I mean? Like, if I was in a crop top trying to tell a Muslim person, they'd be like, I've already turned off. Right. They don't listen. They're not going to listen. Because they're judging me already. Yeah. So understanding the power of that message is really powerful. But I don't think there's a good answer for dismantling it. I think we have to always be safety first,
Yeah, absolutely. What was your, going back to what, we're staying on the Islamic issue.
Please.
With your parents coming out, kind of tell me a little bit more about how they reacted. Right. I know your dad was pretty welcoming, but your mom took a little bit more time.
She did. Yeah. There was some vitriol that came out, and she said you're going to get HIV and die, and she said you're never going to find a real life, and you're going to have a bad life here and the hereafter. And it's a lot of coded words
from the religion, right?
Yes, this is all because of the religion. Yeah, the Quran. The Quran never actually specifically says homosexuality is forbidden. It says that a man and a woman must lay together. So again, it's like the Bible is the Bible's a lot worse actually, because I've actually read the Bible because I went to Christian school. So the Bible is like, kill a bitch. Yeah. So the Quran doesn't actually do that, but what it does is obviously the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. That like she of course brought that up, and I'm like, those people in Sodom and Gomorrah, I want to make it very clear. Again, I wasn't there. Seems like a fun time, but I wasn't there. They were not all just gay. They were also child molesters. They were murderers. They were thieves. Yeah. So the way that the town went down was because of that, and it was not because of like them just being gay. So I want to make that very clear. So a lot of people use that, and that's where sodomy comes from. Right. And what happens between two gay men that is consensual and love is not sodomy. Yeah. Sodomy is the act of like an aggressive, almost rape style anal sex. So I want to make that very clear. A lot of people don't know the specifics. Yeah. They just say things because, and of course my mom within 2 minutes of telling her was like, it was funny. Before that, she was like, I want to set you up with someone. And I was like, I can't live here anymore. Like you a woman. Oh. And I was, I cannot live in this space. I was like, I'm done, I'm out, it's done. And so I told her, and it was like, the first thing she said was the HIV, then it was Sodom and Gomorrah. And it's like, and my mom was like, and it's crazy to say it out loud because it's so ridiculous, but she was, earthquakes are because of gay people. Wow. Because Sodom and Gomorrah, that's an earthquake, and a lot of Muslim people believe that. That's why there's earthquakes in San Francisco and LA, and I'm like, but what about New York? Because I sucked a lot of dicks in New York, and there's no earthquakes there. So that's neither here nor there. Right. But what I'm saying is that, like, I don't understand why we need to keep harking back to a story that's 3,000 years old. And what I don't understand is, I told my mom this because she's like, it's like a cult, and who made you do it, and all this stuff. And I was like, if there were 10 gay people, let's say we were the only 2 gay people, I'd be like, okay, maybe this might be a choice. Yeah. There are millions. Yeah. Why would God doesn't make mistakes. So if he made 10 of us, all right. But like, there is millions of LGBTQ people all over the world. And those are the ones that we know about. So minus the ones that are in the closet and have, decided to never come out. So why would he do that? Yeah. Why would they do that? It's better,
God's
they. Yeah, God's a
yeah. It would essentially make they a sadist.
Totally.
God a sadist.
Totally.
If he was going to create
just to set us
gay
up,
people, just to condemn them to hell.
Just to set it. And first of all, the whole hell thing is so ridiculous because I believe that your version of hell is different than my version of hell. My version of hell is no novelty. Is a simple picket fence life. So you put me in the suburbs with a 2.5 children, that's my version of hell. So I could be living in a hell that might be someone else's heaven. So this idea of hell where we go on fire and putting pokers up our ass, that's not going to happen. Like, that's not really what it is. Like, it's our version of hell. So I think that people need to stop. It's really not that complicated, but they make it complicated. Like, I used to go to Saturday school because the Muslims do Saturday, not Sunday, because we got to be extra, whatever. And so Saturday school, and the guy would say, if you masturbate, you're going to have pregnant hands on Judgment Day. Imagine being 8 years old and like going through puberty and thinking about that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No.
That's not normal. Like, to be 8 years old and then all of a sudden you're like, when you, puberty's like 13, 14, then you start like having sexual feelings and it's like, no, you're disgusting.
Yeah.
So that's where the shame comes from. That's where the hate comes from. Like, I love Brene Brown and she talks about how guilt is like, I've done something bad. Shame is I am something bad. And for most of my life, it was like, I am something bad.
Gotcha.
Because I knew that something was different. I was a swimmer and I used to like my swim coach and I'm like, there's something wrong with me. And the religion puts so many parameters that sets you up for failure. How can anyone, so basically, like, and another thing my mom said, which I think is really important to say, is that she said, you can be gay, just don't talk about it. And that's more painful because it's like, I know you're gay, but I want you to hide it and I want you to pretend.
Yeah, I want you to not be yourself and suppress your identity.
Absolutely.
Which is painful.
Really painful. That's worse. I mean, that's crazy. The reason I struggled with such suicidal thoughts was because I was not being myself and I felt so trapped. And I was like, I never want to go back to that. Like, I never want to go to screaming in the silence. Like, I don't want to ever go there again. And I don't want to live like that. And I'm not going to let someone, even if it is my mom, dictate that. And, you know, we didn't talk for a while and for months and we were able to come back together. But there are still moments where I'm like, I question where their support is. Because my sister just sent me like a meme which she thought was funny a couple of days ago. And it was like, you know, there's whatever, a couple thousand cases of coronavirus and everyone's wearing a mask, but there are 30 million people with HIV and people still don't use condoms. She thought that was funny. And I don't think that's funny. I was like, oh, that's a weird thing to send me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a 33-year-old woman.
Directly to
and it thought that it was funny, and I'm like, and then I had to sit there and kind of analyze, like, what did she mean by it? And sometimes it's just not having sensitivity, you know? And it actually made me emotional because I was like, she thinks that I don't use condoms, or she thinks that I'm gonna get HIV, or what is she? And even if I did, like, that doesn't make you sick. That's like, you can live with it.
Yeah.
And it's again, all this stuff like dirty, clean, and all the stuff that we even have in the gay community as well, like, where people are like, are you clean? And I'm like, bitch, I'm clean. Like, you don't, it's this idea of like, us against them, I'm just so tired of it.
Well, I think it is important to ask, right?
Yeah, of course, it's important to ask, but to say that, like, if you're HIV positive, that you're dirty.
Oh,
that's what I mean. Yeah. Because a lot of times people are like, "Are you clean?" I think those words.
You don't know how they got it. They could have been lied to. They could have. It doesn't matter.
Of course, and sometimes if you're, just to make it clear for people that don't know, from a sexual standpoint and sexual health point, someone that is undetectable, that has like the lowest denominator of HIV antibodies, is much safer than someone that doesn't know they have HIV. So that's, if your viral load is very high, that's like very scary. And so a lot of people are, oh, I'm positive. It's like, when were you last tested? Like, and again, I want to make it very clear, I'm going to say it like 5 times, straight people have the highest case of HIV. We do not. Most of Africa is straight. They have a very high case of HIV. Asia, Europe, those are not always gay people. So it's like, it's not our disease.
Right.
And it's like this idea of even PrEP, like the way it made everyone sick. It's like people's kidneys were messed up because it's like, oh, only gays have HIV. That is like that's stigmatizing.
Is PrEP making people sick?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, PrEP, well, they just changed it to a different drug. I forgot the name. But
Truvada?
Truvada. So Truvada is PrEP, but they're doing they have this other pill that apparently doesn't, because it was making people's kidneys shut down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because it's like, because you're taking what you would take if you had HIV every day. So you're taking that in one pill. Okay. So you have to, again, this is things that you talk to your doctor about. You get ahead of it. Like, I'm not on PrEP. I'm very careful. You don't have sex when you're drunk. Like, I mean, find ways to be very healthy with your sexual health and do not trust anyone.
Yeah.
Like, if someone tells you they're clean, quote unquote, you don't know, because you can get other diseases. A lot of people are on PrEP and they weren't using condoms. You can get gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, or herpes. You can get other diseases by not being careful. So, not to go on like a sexual health rant, but people are so, especially in the gay community, are so cavalier about sex. We're like, whatever, let's fucking whatever. It's like, that's all fine.
Yeah.
But like, if you go to a bathhouse and you're with 10 people, like, you probably should get tested.
Right.
I'm not criticizing. I'm very sexual, like sex positive.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to like be conscious.
Health positive as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Amir, for anyone listening that might feel burdened or is struggling because of their religion and their own coming out process, what kind of advice would you give for them? What kind of tidbits would you just want to lay out there?
Okay, that's a fabulous question. I think that it's important that you have a private conversation with your God. Allah, Yahweh, God, Buddha, I don't really care who it is. So you sit down and you have a private conversation with your God. You pray that like they understand where you're coming from. And don't give a fuck about whoever says whatever. I don't really give a shit if the imam or the priest or the rabbi, you think they're perfect? Have you not watched the news? So nobody that's a religious leader is perfect, and they never have been. So don't let anyone tell you that you're going to hell. Don't let anyone, even if your parents, you need some time from them. Break up with your parents. Like, take a break. I took a break. It was great. Like, you don't let anyone disrespect you and hurt you when it comes to religion and tell you you're going to hell, because they don't know. Have they been?
Right.
That's a good retort. That's what I say. I'm like, have you been to hell?
Yeah.
How was it, sweetie? Like, unless you had a near-death experience, don't talk to me. I don't want to know, because you don't know what you're talking about. So I think being conscious of that, and also learn to minimize your own self-hate. Because if you have self-hate and then you're asking for other people to validate you, that's a bad place to be. Because then you're like, am I good enough? Am I good enough? They're never going to be happy with what you're doing. So and again, if you feel like the religion doesn't work with your newfound identity, then ditch it. Find a version of the religion you like. For me, I like Sufism, which is a mystical side of Islam. It's like Rumi. A lot of people quote him. Every white girl quotes him on Instagram. He is very like queer positive, and apparently he might have had a lover, like that was a male. Talks a lot about getting lost in love and being engulfed by people. So find what in that religion, find who supports you. If you're Christian, Unitarians are historically very open. Don't go to a Baptist church and hope for the best. Like, find what works for you. You know, there's churches in LA, Mosaic is a great one where you can go and you're included. So if you're Jewish people have historically been very supportive of LGBTQ. So that is really great because they don't believe in hell.
Right.
So I think when you take the hell equation out of it, it really helps, because it's not like you're going to hell. It's like, we're all going to heaven. So, so suck a dick while you're at it. I've said suck a dick so many times. Oh my God. But yeah, I think it's just like in one sentence, it's like, be true to whatever speaks to you. And when it comes to religion, just to do whatever feels right. Yeah. Really, it's not that hard.
Love that. Amir, where can the audience find you? Your Instagrams and any web pages?
Of course. So if you want to see the nicer side of me, you can go on Instagram. So it's AMIR Yass and then YASS, like Yass Queen _ Don't forget the underscore. And then if you go on Twitter, it's just Amir AMIR Yassai, YASSAI. That's my real last name.
Love it.
It's on a stage.
Perfect. Yes.
Yes.
Well, Amir, thank you so much for coming on and speak with me today.
Thank you for having me. It's such a good time. It was fabulous.
Appreciate it.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.